All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. We've got head coach Mike Leach. We're going to jump straight into questions. We'll start with David.
Coach, with 2 weeks of practice in the books now, what is the balance, I would say, of still installation as opposed to development, practicing what you've installed?
I think we've got it installed. Now we just have to polish it up, execute it, and be more automatic. And that's still a work in progress. And I guess it's continually a work in progress. I mean, I occasionally get are you satisfied? No, you're never satisfied. This isn't a satisfied business, really. There's no real destinations. There's just new challenges, and I think that's one of the virtues of sports to begin with. So now we're still trying to sharpen execution, and we're getting better every day, and just have to continue to improve.
Next, we'll go to Ben Portnoy.
Coach, starting practices off with Bull in the Ring, what's that kind of been like, and what's kind of the idea behind that, and I guess how much do you feel like that kind of gets the guys going, at least to start things off each day?
It's competitive, creates energy, fires up the unit, and I think it kind of, a good start off to the practice with the intensity and the competition. Everybody cheers, yells, gets fired up, and I think it's a pretty good way to lift off and start practice.
Steve Robertson.
Coach, Big Ten and some other conferences are talking about playing fall football after all. What are your thoughts about that, about other teams kind of making the decision to play?
Well, I hope they play. I hope they play. I think, I think America needs football, and I think it's, it lifts people up. It gives people stuff to gather around and celebrate, and I think that would be a very positive thing because, it's been a fairly joyless couple months, and I think we've got to flip that around, and I think football is one vehicle to do that.
We'll go to Joel.
Hey, Coach. Can you kind of walk us through the how you were made aware of what was going on Thursday with no practice, and how you were made aware of it, and just kind of the process there, and just that entire situation and your thoughts on it?
Well, it kind of percolated around the whole country, and then of course, we support our guys and definitely want to have open dialogue, on any issue, and I think that provided an opportunity to do that. But I think also that players need to recognize what a great platform they have when they play. I mean, they're examples, and just like them, and the guys ahead of them. Young people and fans all, admire them and respect them. And so I think the very best platform is playing and, seeing people pulling together from all different walks of life and pulling for one another. And, and I remember, like a good example of that was when USC played Alabama with Sam DeBam Cunningham. The example of people pulling together, working together, I think is the most compelling aspect of it. I think that, everybody agrees and is against injustice. I think we're all against that. I think, I think the approach, people have different approaches to it. And, and so then I think that as the dialogue continues, then hopefully everybody gets on the same page, and and we create as much justice as we possibly can.
Yeah, Mike, just a couple things. First, a quick follow-up to that. Obviously, we saw what your players did to kind of make their voices heard, but I've seen a lot of coaches, especially around the SEC too. I think I just saw a tweet like a couple hours ago from Dan Mullen say, we can't wait for tomorrow. We have to start today to kind of, change the way this social injustice thing is going in America. So I'll ask you, what can you do? What can your coaches do? And what can just, the average American do to, because not everybody can get together like a football team did on Thursday and, and have that come to light that way.
I think the biggest thing people can do is, you know, we have a saying around here, if you want to improve the team, improve yourself. So I think as people individually steadily improve themselves, I think, you know, that's the biggest step the right direction. But I also think part of that is to be open to dialogue and listen.
And then my other question is, going back to the very first question to start this off, how has the installation process compared to other places you've been? Whether you were an OC or a head coach, you put this offense in at a lot of places, and I'm sure you can compare this to other places you've been.
Very similar. You know, it's very similar. I mean, sometimes, you know, you might have some real talent in one spot, and you know, and so you sharpen and you try to feature that, and then you may have some deficits in others, and you try to fortify and improve that. But no, it's the same. I mean, it's kind of a series of corrections, just a constant series of corrections, and then sharpening it up, and then you know, the better effort we get, then you know, what you want to see is you want guys to perform and then give you something different to coach the next day, so you're constantly working and making progress.
Coach, obviously, you got a pretty deep running back room, and with your offense, that group's going to be expected to have a lot more opportunities in the receiving game and the passing game. What have you seen from that group so far when it comes to catching the football in the air raid?
I've been impressed, and I thought that I would say we're a little ahead there of what I expected. You know, they have good body control and they do catch the ball well, and generally they do a good job of keeping their hands in the same place. And I think that, and the other thing I have to say is I think they're running routes better perhaps at this point than I thought they might.
How much competition has a freshman Dylan Johnson played his part at it?
You're gonna have to start over, get garbled up, kinda.
How much competition have the freshman running back Wavy and Dylan Johnson added to that?
Quite a bit. They're very explosive guys, and then the other thing is they've been fairly quick learners. One thing is, you know, they're not intimidated to compete. I think that's the first step. You know, doing what got you here really well, I think will give you the best opportunity to improve. And sometimes, you know, guys will, you know, they'll go out there like young guys, a little intimidated, overthink, but these guys don't do that.
We'll go to Brian Haydad.
Coach, sort of playing off of Paul's question about the running back group, is it tough to keep those guys motivated when you look at the way your offense has been the past few years? The second and third running backs, you're talking about maybe 20 touches the entire season. How do you keep them fresh?
Well, I think you got to play the best guys, and we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And some guys' best games are going to be in the future. But you know, I think that you know, but they, as a unit, we would like to produce more yards than any other team in the conference, which we've done that before, and we would like to do it here. And I think we've got talented enough guys to do it as far as generating, you know, yards. Those passing yards tend to spend the same as the rushing yards do, and so we want a healthy combination of both. Our running back position does generate more yards consistently than any other position, and part of it's because they're the best athletes, so that needs to remain the case.
We'll go back to Steve.
Coach, how close are you to settling the depth chart, and then what position battles are you kind of really keeping an eye on right now?
I can't say we're close to it. We're tapering in on it, you know. So without a spring, I think that's made it a little more challenging. But you know, that's one of our biggest challenges right now is to define the depth chart so that you know, we can channel the reps into the guys that we're going to play the most with. And if you don't do that, you'll successfully make everybody mediocre. So yeah, you got to make some tough decisions, and you got to, you know, this is different than a PE class. You got to invest the reps in the guys that you know are going to be important to you to go out there and win. So
Go back to Ben. to Joel.
I know, Coach, that when it comes to COVID and things, you guys don't really talk about that or anything, but as far as bumps and bruises and scrapes and scratches and bones, how are you guys from a health standpoint right now?
Well, we don't talk about that either, but generally speaking, we're healthy as thoroughbreds, and but yeah, everybody's kind of working through something at this point in camp, but and I think they're doing a good job of pushing through.
We have time for a few more. Again, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat for me. We'll go back to Joel for a second one.
I guess update us on the quarterback situation and which of those guys, I know you had mentioned that KJ and Will and Garrett seem to be getting some of the most reps. How's that kind of shaking out right now?
We're doing the same thing currently. I think that KJ's ahead, and then but we're trying to see as much as we can out of Schrader and Will, at the same time. But again, we're going to have to pare that down too.
Steve?
Coach, how do you feel like your secondary is shaping up so far?
Work in progress, I'd say. Work hard. They have a sense of urgency. Sometimes over pursue or technique problems as far as staying in position. We also have some big receivers, so I think that I think that they're definitely a work in progress. But sometimes I think they're playing better than they may realize when you consider some of the the physical nature of some of the receivers.
We'll go back to Tyler.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up to that. A lot of the guys that we've talked to, whether it be players or coaches, have said a lot about Martin Emerson and Fred Peters. What have you seen out of those guys specifically? Are they given some of those receivers that you mentioned?
Just crazy competitive guys. I mean, just insanely competitive. They you want guys to get the most they can out of each rep. Those two guys personify that. And then, and as a result, they're not perfect, but as far as their diligence to do that, their technique is steadily improving, and they probably have the best technique.
We'll go back to Ben.
Ben was asking me about Jamar Chaney, the
Mike,
guy
just quickly,
who
has
used to
anything
play
changed with
here.
Malik Heath's status, or is he still with the team practicing and everything?
I'm sorry?
Has anything changed with Malik, his status?
He's practicing, and then any other issues we're addressing internally.
Come back to Paul Jones.
Coach, after a couple of weeks of camp, how would you assess the offensive line as you're trying to find the 7, 8, 9 guys you need up there?
We have quite a few bodies. They're big. They're big and athletic for their size, and then they're trying to refine their skills and identify the most cohesive unit, and then also trying to develop some guys in the twos that can be interchangeable with the ones. I mean, you're a one because you're a little better than the two, but we want to lose as little ground as possible, when we have to play one of the twos. And generally speaking, if they communicate and they know where to go, they're pretty decent at their one-on-one matchups.
We'll wrap up with Tyler Horka.
Yeah, Mike, this is going to come out of left field for everybody and probably for you, but I was speaking with Jeff Phelps earlier this week, and he's big on cooking and grilling, and I know you're a big food guy yourself. What is your favorite thing that he's made for you, and just how good of a cook is Jeff Phelps?
I'm big on eating. I'm not that big on cooking. One thing, and sometimes it's a mosh pit of testosterone around those grills, and I gave up a long time ago trying to fight my way through that. So, I try to have a beverage and taste what may fall off or they put in the pan before that they can recover it. And so I Phelps is a notoriously good cook. I haven't had much lately, but you know, and he's a very smart guy, and so it's nearly an art form for him. Anything barbecued by Jeff is really good.
All right, thank you, Coach Leach. Reminders again, everybody, we will be back again here next week. If you guys need anything, just reach out to me or Brandon. We will get you set up.
All right, appreciate it. Good talking to you guys. Drink more Coke. All right.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Brian.